Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today, people, today we are for Kamen Revice episode 32, and this is a very Aguilera sort of centric episode. We also see that the director of Phoenix is also down to some dealing with some dastardly deeds. And we also see that our three main writers do get some action in this episode. We also get some more story progression, I guess, sort of things in this episode as well. We know the location of Genta for sure this time, and we also started to notice the whole Iki fading away from stuff like that. But episode basically starts off where last episode started off with Iki and Vice talking about, you know, him losing his memories and things like that, and also him fading away from pictures and things. So we see that Vice does a little cute thing where he draws Iki in the family portrait, things like that. So he does apologize to Iki about it, and he does tell him that the contract between us cannot be, you know, it cannot be changed and things like that. But Iki does accept it, and you know, I'm glad that we didn't go down a path where he was like mad at Vice about the whole contract thing. I'm glad that Iki does understand the circumstances and things like that. So we see that everybody is, you know, Vice makes a remark about everybody being scattered out, things like that. And you know, Mama's there, she's talking about like we even though we are scattered apart, we're still the ultimate family, things like that. So we also get to see we see that you know, we go back to the weekend, and we see that Sakura's there with everybody, with, you know, all the weekend members, and they're talking about taking down Aguilera, and, you know, tracking down and finding Aguilera, things like that. And you also see that Gen is still, you know, Genta is still, you know, he's there. He's gonna be with they're gonna continue to protect him while, you know, while Veil is still like on the loose. But also see that Busan, he does make an appearance in the bathhouse and tells Iki and Mama that that's where he is. So, and that he's gonna still stay by his side and things like that. So we see that they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with Aguilera, talking about how do we, you know, take her down, stuff like that. So we see that Aguilera goes, not Aguilera, we see Sakura and Hiraku or Haraku, he's the boy part of the weekend who's pretending to be like the dude's son. They're I guess they're going to school, things like that, and she sees that Sakura asks, what is like how did you get into the weekend and stuff like that. He says, oh, you don't need to know all that stuff. And then, you know, she feels bad, like, why can't I know certain things? So we see that Aguilera does show up. Also Tamaki shows up. He was looking for Aguilera. We see that Tamaki, he ends up showing up there, and then we end up getting a fight between Aguilera and Sakura, and Sakura ends up losing this fight. We see that for some reason all of Sakura's weapons and things like that aren't working. We see that Love-chan, every time she tries to use one of her different styles and different weapons and things like that, she tries to use the cannon. We see that Aguilera most likely has gotten stronger as well. We see that she actually deflects the cannon blast back at Sakura when she tried to shoot her with it. And we also see that, you know, she ends up beating Sakura, and I'm like, yo, did Aguilera get stronger? Because lately, you know, every time she does fight Sakura whoops her. So Aguilera probably has gotten stronger, and I'm here for it. I'm glad to see, you know, the evil queen out here evil queen B out here winning a little bit. I mean, it's against our characters, but at the same time, it's good to see her, like, you know, get some kind of, you know, good thing going on. We also saw like her little flashbacks of her being in the cult and things like that. She's playing with some of the cult members and like inside this big aquarium. She's also still at the aquarium herself, and we actually, like, it was kind of weird. Like, this is little girl playing with all these women, and these women are wearing like these hooded figure, like hoods and things like that. It was weird, but it was kind of sweet. But when you think about what this cult is for, like, it still was kind of weird. Yeah, so that's when Aguilera basically makes the decision to go fight Sakura, and she ends up beating Sakura. And we see that Sakura goes back to the weekend, and she asks them about, you know, why her belt is acting up and why can't she use things. That we checked it, and we seen like they basically checked and said there aren't any malfunctions. Basically, Love-chan is she's basically, she's affected by your feelings, because she's your demon. She's affected by your feelings, and she's affected by your doubts. You have doubts upon yourself, and that's what's affecting Love-chan. And Love-chan also has, Love-chan is also, Love-chan was cute. She felt bad about not being able to help Sakura, and she felt like it was her fault. But you know, she consoles her, things like that. We see that Sakura goes back to the bathhouse. She's talking to Iki, and Tamaki is also there, and they're talking about how, what can we separate her from her demon and things like that. And it seemed like Aguilera kept trying to bait Sakura to fight her, and Tamaki comes up with the he basically says that, you know, she has no place in the world now. Everything around her has been taken away from her, and the whole dead man's cult thing, that was her whole world. That was her everything. That was she was raised in. So have all that being taken away and have it not exist anymore really affects her. So now she's just trying to find a way, essentially, to die. She's at a point where she wants to die. She wants to be beaten by Sakura, and she wants to essentially just die, because she basically has nothing to live for. So Sakura doesn't want to do that. She basically asks Iki, hey, you have the power to separate her, you know, from her demon. You have the power to turn her back into a human. So can you do that for me? And, you know, obviously Iki agrees. And Sakura basically says that I don't have the heart to end her. I can't do that. So we see that Sakura does end up meeting up with Aguilera again. But on the Daiji side of the story, we see that Daiji is still trying to look into what director Akashi has going on, and we see that he's talking to George and the director, lady named Akami, and she basically is talking to him. She says that she'll investigate some of the things that he's been doing, and also we see that she tells him about how she saw Akashi talking to someone, how he's scheming things from the shadows, and how he was talking to Veil. And that's what ticked Daiji off about, like, oh, you saw him talking to Veil, so something's got to be going on. So he basically he says he's going to look into it, and Akami says that, don't worry, I'll look into it for you, I'll find some stuff out. And Daiji's like, no, I don't want you to do that, because how could I face Hiromi if anything would have happened to you? So she basically says she's going to stay put, and yeah, she basically decides she's going to stay put and whatever. And yeah, so that's the ending to Daiji stuff so far. So we go back to Aguilera, and Sakura. They're talking. They basically go to fight. They basically go and try to go find her. When Takumi gets to her first, and he gets cut off. He was about to say something really sweet and whatever, but he gets cut off by Sakura and Iki. So they end up hitching up, actually fighting Aguilera, and they're trying to get she's trying to get an opening in for Iki, so he can basically attack her and separate her from her demon. So they're fighting and things like that. We see that they can't really get a hit in on her, not really. Well, they're not really fighting her, but they're just trying to get her an opening so Iki can hit her. So we see that just when Iki is getting ready to basically finish her off and separate her from her demon and things, we see that Love-chan actually runs up to Sakura and basically attacks her and goes inside of the Libra driver, and the Libra driver pops off of Sakura and is basically very, very damaged. And she sees this and goes, what was this even for? So she runs. So before Iki is getting ready, before Iki like rider kicks Aguilera, we see that Sakura runs up to Aguilera and hugs her and shields her from Iki's attack. Iki sees this and he dodges out, he gets out of the way so he doesn't hit her, and she basically says that, I'm sorry, but I have to be the one to take her out. I have to be the one to do this. So we also see that Akami was snooping around the director's office, and she finds a bunch of Vice stamps, a bunch of copies of Vice stamps that we already have, and she said, I thought we were supposed to be scrapping these. So Akashi, he's there, he ends up finding her, and he ends up basically kidnapping her. I don't know if he killed her, but he basically kidnaps her, and he summons two Giftarians to go out and attack the city so it'll keep Daiji busy. So Daiji, he goes to George, and he sees that he sees the camera footage of Akame going into his office, and also Akashi going into Akashi finding her in his office. So he walks up to Akashi and basically says that, where is she? You know, where's Akame? He's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Whatever, you know, maybe she got spirited away. He literally says that. He's like, maybe she got spirited away. He's like, oh, she's your hostage now? And he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And then that's when they get the alert that 2 Giftarians are attacking civilians. Now Akashi looks at him and says, hey, you better hurry, you know. He's drinking coffee and stuff, all smug and whatever. I'm like, man, F you. But he looks at Daiji and says, hey, you better go, because, you know, you're gonna let innocent, you know, people die, stuff like that. So Daiji goes off, and he basically goes in a holy live and takes out these 2 Giftarians. And yeah, that's really it for Daiji in this episode. Yeah, but that's basically it for Daiji in this episode. And our episode kind of ends off with Sakura choosing to basically go and take out Sakura basically going for choosing to take out Aguilera herself. So, but yeah, that's basically where the episode ends off right there. Pretty good episode, man. Pretty good episode. I like how everybody was involved. I like how everybody's still having their own little arcs that they have going on, and it still makes a lot of sense. And it also, having everybody kind of spread out like this, having everybody have their own separate arcs and all separate things that they're doing, kind of gives more depth to these characters, especially Daiji, because Daiji is my favorite character in this series, in this season, and I really want him to achieve anything that he's got going on, especially when it comes down to him being in Phoenix, because this is an organization that he really cares about and wants to save. So, but with that being said, though, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode. What you guys think about the, you know, the Daiji stuff, the Iki stuff. Iki really wasn't that much of a focus in this episode. He really didn't have like his own little individual art that he has going on, except for the fact that, you know, his him fading away from existence and things like that. But other than that, mostly just Sakura and Daiji with, you know, Iki kind of tagging along. But other than that, guys, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know. Like the video, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. And remember, stay henshin.